Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Creed 3. This movie is directed by first-time director Michael B. Jordan. The movie stars Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, and Jonathan Majors. Now, the plot of Creed 3 is Adonis Creed has been retired for 3 years, and when an old childhood friend revisits him after being released from prison, he asks Adonis for a huge favor. This favor ends up changing their friendship. When I first heard they were making another Creed movie, my thoughts were mixed. One, because I thought, while Creed 2 was fine, that Adonis had become his own man. Rocky was now his partner, no longer mentor. But also, once you start bringing back characters from the past in a franchise, it's a kind of a sign that you run out of ideas. But I saw the trailer, and I saw that Michael B. Jordan was directing, and Jonathan Majors was the antagonist, and those were exciting ventures. But also, I was getting Rocky 3 vibes from the trailer. And I noticed that Rocky, the character, wasn't mentioned or shown at all, so I was a little worried. So I had two ideas going into it, and hadn't seen the movie, and while I enjoyed it, I was right about one of them. Let me start with the acting in this movie. Michael B. Jordan, as Adonis Creed, is really good. In fact, he's probably never been better, because not only does this man have to direct this movie, and he does it in such a fashion, but also he plays a man who's retired from boxing, so he wants the younger generation to succeed because he knows what it's like to be hungry, to want it, to be the best. But also, he plays a guy who's no longer in the boxing ring, so he's no longer the athlete. He's now adjusting to life as a dad, to a daughter who's deaf, which was really intriguing, and I really liked those scenes between him and his daughter, because his daughter is curious about boxing and what he used to do, and so she wants to learn a couple things, so there's some sweet moments where he shows her the ropes. Also, he has to be a mentor to one of these fighters who he wants to see as the champion, but also he wants to be loyal to his friend, or should I say ex-friend. And so the friend aspect is also something that is taking a toll on Adonis. And now he has to deal with, his mother who's going through some things, but also his wife as well. And so Michael B. Jordan depicted Adonis Creed as, juggling or spinning plates, if you will, really well. Tessa Thompson as the wife in this movie, she's really good. She's played this role as, the wife very well. Their daughter, I forget the actress's name, but she plays a deaf child, and really good. A lot of times, when you have child actors as children, they're not great, and you have to kind of have the adults do the communicating for them. But no, she was really well, and it was a pleasant moment to see her on screen when she was. Jonathan Majors as Dame Anderson, Adonis' former friend who used to be an amateur boxer, who wants more now that he's back from prison. He did a really good job, because he's a guy that was Adonis Creed's friend and still tries to be, but he has this passion, this hunger to also want to be the best. And so it was really neat to see all of their scenes together, whether they were quiet ones, emotional ones, whether it was, dramatic, or they were, laughing about something. It was really nice to see them on screen together. Now, this movie does some things differently from the other Rocky movies. This movie has flashbacks to when characters were younger. The movie starts out when these two men were boys. That's one thing that the Rocky franchise hasn't done, is we never got to see flashbacks. We never got to see characters when they were younger. Some of the things that this movie did differently is that it shows you what happens to, I'll say, the antagonists after a boxing match. We got to see two characters post, Adonis Creed fights. We got to see two characters that Adonis Creed has fought before, and we get to see what they're up to now. They don't just fight the main character and then disappear. No, we get to see two of these guys still in contention, just like normal fighters. Also, something this movie did is it took this personal grudge match, this personal fight that happens in the third act, and it changes the landscape. These two men, toe-to-toe, face-to-face, are just so zoned in on each other that they do something really interesting with the camera tricks. Is they make it to where it's just the two men in the ring. The audience fades away. The ambience goes away. The crowd disappears. It's just the two men in the ring. And then there are some camera tricks they do where the ring kind of transforms into something else, which had me on the fence because it's a nice visual, but at the same time, the movie has kind of been on this message of, hey, this character was in prison before, so let's just do more of that. And so that was a little much at times. But also, this movie does something that I think is really nice, and they haven't done it since the first Rocky movie, in the first scene, in fact, and that's show you what happens to Rocky's opponents after the match, after they get out of the ring. You get to see an interaction between two fighters post-fight, and that's something that was really nice to see and moving in this movie. Michael B. Jordan made some really bold directing choices in this film, and you could really tell this was a passion project. I kind of feel, though, this film was more of a movie that Michael B. Jordan wanted to make that just happened to have boxing in it, because you could take this film with Adonis Creed, you could make this a totally different movie, not even related to the Rocky franchise, but because it had boxing and a ring in it, that's what made it a Rocky movie. This could have been a story of two friends that, because one went to prison, one got out, life's different. You could have made a movie all on that, but it had the Adonis Creed and the Rocky Balboa names attached to it, so they made it into a Rocky movie. Also, the score, the songs, the themes, if you will, are very, I'll say, rural. A lot of rap songs. And it's not until, I think, the end of one of the fights do you get a tail end of a song from the Rocky franchise. And that's it. And aside from the mentioning of Apollo Creed and his history with one Rocky Balboa, you don't get any Rocky mentions. And you don't get Rocky. And it kind of takes away from the franchise. Because yes, I understand that Adonis Creed is his own man. He doesn't need to be in the shadow or tag along or have Rocky featured. But there are some moments and scenes and events where Rocky Balboa would be present. There are certain things in Adonis Creed's life that happen that you would think Rocky would make an appearance. You think Rocky would be there to support his friend or spend time with his family, and we don't get Rocky, which is unfortunate. Also, the acting in this movie, the boxing is well done and it's intense, but like the old Rocky movies, you'd have a scene where two boxers would be in the ring and you'd see their whole bodies. You'd see them throw punches, you'd see the way their legs would move, their body would shift. Here, it's very up close. It's very, very intense. A lot like the movie Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal, where the boxing and everyone was up close like this, so you wanted to feel the action, but it didn't feel too realistic because you couldn't see their whole frame. You just saw up close. Also, the boxing matches didn't seem as long because, yes, they were focusing on the story, the personal aspect of what was going on inside the ring, which is understandable. So, because the acting in this was really good, the directing was new and refreshing, and I'm excited to see where this franchise continues to go. Though I hope it doesn't go a certain direction they kind of hint at, just because 3 Creed movies, that's all you need. They don't have to go forward anymore, because now that Adonis has been retired, where can you go from there? Unless you start the new generation again. So because this movie was new and refreshing, the acting is really good. The music was different. This was a third and a very different Creed movie from the other two. I'm going to give Creed 3 a B+. So until next time, guys, see ya.